before the Wheel of Time premiere. Quick, Amanda, what's the Dragon Reborn? Yeah.
All right, so as mentioned, I have been brought out to the premiere of Wheel of Time here in London. I haven't read Wheel of Time, but Daniel has. Daniel, I would probably consider to be YouTube's premier authority on Wheel of Time. I know you might disagree, but I think you have to have the biggest channel of the people that are in the community.
Of the people who talk about Wheel of Time, I'm probably the biggest channel. I've just managed to divert from like talking purely about it.
Yeah.
Because money.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. So we thought that we would do kind of a fun, like, first impressions of those first 3 episodes that are available to watch right now today, and then kind of have the complete noob experience, where it's just, if you have never experienced the world of Robert Jordan, will you like it? And if not, if you are a super fan, are you going to enjoy it? So we're gonna... It's cute, right? It's kitschy. Hope you enjoy. I will probably I'll probably still do a full series review once it's all wrapped up, but this is just kind of a fun little thing that's definitely not contractually... It's... Okay, moving on. Okay, what did you think of those first 3 episodes? Or would you want to ask me what I thought?
Yeah, you have virgin to the Wheel of Time eyes.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear what's the world striking you like? Did it feel big? Did it feel comprehensive?
It felt very big. It did definitely feel big. If we're just talking like going straight for the positives and stuff, like it did feel like a very lived in world. Like the characters felt like they were real and like they existed and they're people that you could run into, and it felt good like that.
I wasn't sure because I was like, okay, I'm seeing a lot of the stuff that hints at larger things from the books, but I was like, if you are new, do you even pick up on that? Does it resonate? So it seems like it did.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely think it did. I guess I'm really bad. I was going to say, let's start with all the positives and move. And it's not a negative. It's just the first episode, when it begins, it's hard. It started and I was like, is this a preview for what we're about to watch? Because it just jumps you in there with like a Rosamund Pike walk, like just...
The opening action sequence that happens right after the first scene
should have been the opening.
And it also is bad.
Yeah,
I thought it was poorly shot.
Rough.
It was thematically unnecessary, and if you're a fan of the books, it also is a bit confusing of what they're even trying to go for.
Okay.
So that whole opening sequence with there's some Red Aja people, I would have nixed it entirely because it did nothing for the episodes we've seen so far.
I think... Yeah, because that character ends up getting brought back up in the third one very briefly in the end of the third episode. So I almost felt like it was just setting up what they were doing. Mm-hmm. But there was like a brief moment where I was like, oh, they don't mean this person they were just talking about. They mean this thing. So Wheel of Time, as it's established, is basically talking, it's like a prophecy. And there's like the Dragon Reborn.
It's Skyrim.
Yeah, the Dragon Reborn. So Dragon Reborn, and they know that this person is around, and it's supposed to help deal with like that ruler of like the dark magic area thing. Yeah, so that's pretty much what it is. So it's people looking for whoever.
Hearing your new impression, like assumptions and stuff, is very accurate and not. And
yeah, it's just wording, and people are gonna be so mad. But you got to realize, like me watching that last night is my experience with it. But yeah, that's like, I think I took a note. I was all like Harry Potter, but way earlier.
And my biggest criticism of the show, in the same vein, if we're talking about things that just didn't work, they had to tackle so much in the first couple episodes that if you're a structure person, it's going to bug you a lot.
Yeah, I do find that the first episode does hit a nice stride at times. Like, there's a lot of different conflicts and battles that happen that are very emotionally resonant. Like, there's something that happens in the first episode that is just like, oh my God, that's insane.
A total 180.
Yeah, like the audience gasped. There was like an audible gasp. I was like, oh my God. So that was all really good. And then I kind of felt like as it was wrapping up, it closed out really quickly too. It was suddenly like, go. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like in the second episode, they really eased into it. It definitely picked up a little bit more. Mm-hmm. There was more structure. The world became a little bit more clear with what they're trying to do. And then the third episode, again, it's a lot happening in these first 3 episodes, but it still really fleshes that out a lot. So you get characters, you get a little bit more like what their motivations are, what their weaknesses are, which is a really good one, and found some new fun characters along the way.
I also found, so I'm very familiar with Robert Jordan's themes. I've done whole videos, essays on it and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a bit redundant at the beginning to me. Obviously, Robert Jordan's world is supposed to be a subversion of typically, like in fantasy, men in power stuff. So he has a world where women hold almost all seats of authority.
I was really stoked on that. I was like, yeah!
Which is great, and they've leaned into it, which I'm excited for. But there's also, it kind of like hit that 1, 2, 3, like 3 times a row, in which I get it wants to establish that. But as a fan, it was a little bit like, yep.
Yeah, because it was like, I feel like they wanted to establish it because it was like they're in power, and then you've got like the shitty ones that have the power, and then you've got the less shitty ones, and then you've got the morally neutral ones, and then like the ones that were probably good.
Yeah.
So
I have a question for you, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Were you more interested as an antagonist in the White Cloaks or the Shadow?
Ooh, okay, the White Cloaks are terrifying.
Yes.
It's just a thing. Like the Shadow, I'm like, oh, that's so menacing. That's a good design. I really like everything going on here. And like the Fade.
Yes.
Yeah. That was all great. And I'm like, I would hate to see that. But it's like, it's almost when I describe the Joker, it's like if you ran into Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, you just walk to the other side of the street. But if you ran into Heath Ledger's, you'd be like, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And you just get, it's so perfect. There's not a blemish on these white suits, even though they are riding horses through the woods.
I think I said to you at the after party, their drip is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And then it gets to the point that it's uncomfortable. Because usually white is the light. It's supposed to be good and positive and holy, but it is so uncomfortable. It is just so unsettling. And then the actor, I can't remember his name.
I got on the phone with
him.
Yeah,
he got
Very
on the phone
nice
with
guy.
him. But yeah, the main white
Abdul.
Abdul, and he's the questioner, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is. It almost channeled a little bit, not the same like quirkiness, but like a Hans Landa feeling a little bit from Inglourious Bastards. He's got that vibe.
He does my favorite thing an antagonist to do, which is just to invade your space.
Yeah,
because it just is like a violation of respect for you.
Exactly.
And it's great.
It's right up in your face, just.
And he has an opening monologue for the cold open of the episode that just lets you know, oh, he's the worst.
He's the worst, and it's so jovial. He's just kind of like, so again, it reminds me a lot of that Hans Landa vibe. Like
it's the kind of chewing of the scenery that I think everyone's just going to really like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought that was really good. Cutting back to the main cast a little bit, I thought they were all really good. Yasha, it looks like he could be Hayden Christensen's brother.
He's Hayden Christensen with a better workout routine.
I'm just saying that it's like the difference between like the Hemsworths. So you got Liam, you've got Chris. Both of them are like fine looking dudes, but it's just like if you like a prettier boy, you might like one more than the other, and like it just depends what you prefer.
I think the standout performances for me were a combination of Barney Harris, who plays Matt Coffin.
He was so good.
That guy got audible laughs out of me several times.
I'm really sad he's not coming back to the show. That's really tragic because he's so good. He was so good. So a lot of people are really going to fall in love with his character, and I hope whoever took over for him is up to the challenge, up to the task, because I thought he was really great. I didn't really feel like there was anybody who was particularly weak.
There were some side actors.
Of course.
Like, okay, that line delivery felt weird.
Yeah, there was, but he's like, oh, that was a weird line delivery. Oh, they're dead. So it's just like, it just didn't matter. It's like, oh, your cousin's around. Can we get your cousin in here?
Spoiler alert, people die.
There's wars, there's fights and stuff. It's a big epic battle brewing.
There's also a lot of action in the first episode I'm really curious for the contrast here, because for book fans, there's a lot of detailed small fan service, especially within the action sequences, to show enhanced things between the bond between two characters and how they move so symmetrically. And there's also stuff showing like these villagers are stubborn and willing to put up a fight. Like that's actually very intrinsic to the lore of this village.
That's great.
And their ancestry.
I love that. Yeah.
Did any of that stand out, or was it just like action?
No, I think it did definitely stand out because people were like actively trying. Like, they're trying to get away from things, but then like when they have to, they're going for it. You know, they're not just like, oh my god.
And there was a long shot with Barney Harris that is genuinely
so good.
Wow.
There's another movie, I just can't think of what it is, where it's just like you're constantly just running to that next marker because something terrible's happening, and then you're running, and then something terrible happens, and you're running.
I know exactly. I actually thought of that same. I can't remember what it is.
There's a lot. I know there's a lot to do it, but I'm thinking of one specific thing, and it's not.
I'm thinking of the highway shootout in Sicario, I believe.
Oh, yep, that's definitely a good one.
And there's an additional layer in this kind of action sequence where it's kind of trying to be a more harsh play on many fantasy series of the time, which would have you go off in your adventure, but Robert Jordan was like, no country bumpkin would just leave their home.
Yeah.
You'd have to force them.
Yeah.
And there's one kind of thing I'm left questioning where it's like, okay, the Trollocs are coming down the mountain, and they're coming to this village, and Rosamund's like, hey, we all gotta leave, otherwise they're gonna kill your village, and they all leave. And I'm like, wait, aren't they still gonna kill your village?
Yeah, I have a note being like, so they all just like bopped out really fast, and the rest of the villagers are like, we're just gonna chill.
I guess they're all gonna go hide in the woods for a while.
I assumed that it was gonna turn into a like a thing where because they were looking for that group, they would just go around them, but they wouldn't know.
It's justified in the books due to some spies, but those spies aren't established in the show.
Yeah, so you just kind of have to be like...
Yeah. And there is a standout scene in episode 2 that actually made me kind of gag, and it's watching someone remove something from their mouth.
Yeah, the throat, you're like...
And I want to know how much of that was CG and how much of that was practical, because if that was practical, that actor had something in his gullet.
Yeah.
It was
to an
horrifying.
Extent, yeah. It was really horrifying. There's some really, really good visuals in every episode that I've seen so far.
I'm still a little conflicted how I feel about the tonal balance, because this is a show that goes from sickeningly wholesome in a way that it should, because it's supposed to feel Shire-esque, to horrific, to dramatic.
Yeah, to almost like there's a YA vibe at times.
Oh, yeah.
Like I literally, like when the younger cast, the main characters interact sometimes, I'm like, I'm getting like a Shadow and Bone feeling, but in a good side. And then you end up with an issue that there's certain characters that, at least right now, are more interesting to be following than some of the other ones. So you're just kind of like, I'm gonna go back.
Wheel of Time fans are here for the melodrama. It goes all the way to the end.
Cool. Yeah. I like melodrama. Like I'm good with that. I obviously look at my channel. I love melodrama.
I'm a Lorde fan.
I love melodrama. It's amazing. So I'm down for all that.
And spoiler alert for a change from the books to the show, they also made the decision. So in the show, they do the thing where it's like no one's having sex yet. They're all pretty young. Here, they're explicitly boning. And it's kind of like... Okay, one, they're all attractive, so great for them.
Good for you guys. Great.
But it felt more like these people are a bit aged up. It would have felt weird for them to be like, oh, we haven't kissed yet. Like, come on.
It was a little... So, that would have been weird. I also like the show is just very freely open about, like, the potential for, like, gay characters. Yes. Like, it's no judgment. It's, like, maybe not joking, but just more like, oh, if you can make as much noise as you want in here. Like, it's just... And it's nobody's like, oh, my God, I'm not gay. It's just like, oh, no, he's... not my type. It's like very chill, and I like that, and I feel like that's the kind of level you need.
I want to do another like pick your mind as a non-book fan.
For sure.
Have you picked up on the fact that this is Earth?
That it's actual Earth?
It's actually our future. I
would never have picked up on that because
it's a very, if you pay really close attention to the lore.
Was it when Rosamund's saying her things?
So there's a couple small things that are details in this show that show like, oh, this is actually a slight connection to like ages past here. And if you read the books and pay deep attention to the lore, there's all kinds of theories from fans about how like the magic is actually like super sci-fi tech that's just genetically in some people and stuff. The Wheel of Time it's actually a sci-fi series in disguise.
I'm really excited. I wanted to read it for a really long time, and then it's just once I was doing this, I was like, I again kind of want to do the Dune thing, where if you're taking these huge epic fantasy series, it might just be more interesting to say, if you are not a fan, will you be able to follow and understand?
I can say this for the first time. The show seems good enough that if you're not super motivated to read the books, watch the show.
Yeah.
I've never been able to say that.
Hell yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I think this is a really good introduction for sure. It made me really excited to read the book. Mm-hmm. Like, because like, I have like the 6th and 7th books that my grandmother found me at a yard sale, and I always meant to like go get more, and they gave us the copy of the first book, Eye of the World. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually really excited to dive into that now that I'm watching this, and it already got confirmed for the 2nd season, so I think a lot of the roughness that we're experiencing right now, where they're just trying to find their footing, will be dealt with by the 2nd season because they'll have done the establishing work.
I mean, I would give overall the show a soft 7, and the main reason is because they are having the pacing is just janked because they are having to just cram in Goliath amounts of material into these episodes we're seeing. Mm-hmm. And then I give just a lot of redemption to those flaws because the cast is making me realize like this feels like the character.
Yeah, like Rosamund Pike is fantastic. She just has this she always has this very like ethereal way to her, even if she's being like an evil character or a good character. There's just something about her, even in person, she's just like...
And the double talk from Aes Sedai is my favorite because they can't lie, and so they have like every scene with an Aes Sedai, there's something that you're like, that no, like that's technically
that's
true.
Not, but there's always a workaround, which is like everybody's favorite kind of lie. But and then Daniel Henney was fantastic, as I always forget his character name.
Can I swear on your channel?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know how, but this man has managed to convey the words without talking. Fuck around and find out.
Yeah,
so many times,
and it's great. If you're a fan, you get to see his butt, guys. Wasn't for me, but for some people, they're like, woo!
And there's a specific scene with Rand where he steps a little too aggressively towards Moraine, and Daniel Henney just steps between them, and Rand stops, and I was like, that's Lan. Yeah. Just the look of like, try it.
Yeah, just try it. Just try it. Yeah, they have a really interesting connection. I can't remember what their relationship is, but it's basically like marriage without any of the fun stuff is how it was described. They have this intimate connection that he feels her pain and is always there just to protect her.
I hope it becomes more explicit later on in the episodes, but for those wondering, there is a warder bond, meaning Aes Sedai has magically mentally linked to this person, so they feel each other's emotions, all this stuff. Some Aes Sedai do sleep with their warders because their sex is better because of it. Some don't. Between Moraine and Lan, there's no sex.
Do you think Cassandra Clare took that for her parabatai in Mortal Instruments because they link them because they're perfect. That's different. They're perfect.
I've never seen Mortal Instruments.
That's fair. They're perfect battle partners. They basically become this like perfect yin yang battle partner.
Well, if they say yin yang, that's a Wheel of Time thing to the T. Did you see all the yin yang symbols?
Yeah, I did. I noticed that.
That's a big thing in the books.
Yeah. Other things just to kind of like lightly touch on. Other than the performances for the main cast is all fantastic. They all did a really great job, and they all really seem to care about what they're bringing to screen, which helps. It means they're really passionate going forward as well. I thought the intro title card stuff is so fucking beautiful. Good with the weaving, and then it all just ends up molding together into that Wheel of Time logo.
If you don't understand the lore, somehow that opening sequence like explains it in a way.
Yeah, it does. Like, when you're following it and you're like, okay, I can piece together. It's similar to what they did with Game of Thrones when they're like establishing the different areas. A lot of people said that they were worried this would feel like Game of Thrones. That is not the vibe I got at all.
No.
I don't get that vibe.
If there's like a spectrum of tone between like, you know, Game of Thrones dark and the super lighthearted recent like Discworld adaptation, it's definitely kind of able to bounce in these different areas really nicely. Yeah. Which I think some people have a problem with because a lot of people have a hard time with changing tones. And this first episode will be the ultimate test of that. Because there is just like, we're happy. Oh my God.
Yeah, and it is. And honestly, that's kind of like life. Like life will just come out and bitch slap you.
Well, that's the main theme of the first season is destruction of innocence and trauma. And so
you're seeing it.
You're seeing it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Shadar Logoth?
What is that?
The Cursed City.
Oh my God, I loved it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I just remember them saying it was like, oh, it's like the it's yeah, I can't even remember what it said, like the Dead City or something. Like it's that was so cool.
And how did you feel about Matt being told don't pick anything up, and he goes, a knife?
Yeah, I was just kind of like, you dumb son of a bitch, you just ruined everything.
You've experienced what everyone in the books has been saying for years.
But it's like, but again, they set that up too. They set up that he is like, he's a pickpocket. He's gonna do what he can to make money.
They have made Matt much more morally questionable in the books, and I think that absolutely works because there needs to be more separation between those main three because you can't get as much in their heads as you can in the books, so it's a way to make it more overt.
Yeah.
And they increase the amount of trauma inflicted on Perrin for spoiler reasons that I think he is a character that is entirely internally conflicted, and they are doing that.
Yeah, really well, like really, really well. I thought the music was also really good. Like the sound, like they were.
Lauren, good job.
Yeah, they were blaring that like the entire time for the red carpet and stuff, which was super interesting. I'll have some footage of like my time here, kind of like juxtaposed in to this video, so it's like a semi-vlog, first impressions review. I think if you watch the first episode and it doesn't immediately hook you, I would definitely like stick up. Amazon's doing the first 3 in a row. And just know that it finds its footing, and it's really compelling, and I just really want to dive into the lore.
I think episode 3 is the clearest example of the show's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah,
so that'll be the testing point. Get through the first 3, and if you're not hooked, I get it.
Yeah, but 3 I thought introduced some really compelling things, some really cool characters, so I'm just really excited to see what happens next. But if you guys have watched the first 3 episodes of Wheel of Time, please let us know what you think down below. We're the noobs. If you think I'm going to like it going forward, if you think Daniel's a shill.
I just gave it a soft 7.
Soft 7. I would have given it a firm 7. I was really enjoying myself. I was having a great time.
And that soft 7 is mostly due to just like, I'm uncertain about the future
That's fair.
of it.
Well, because he knows where things are going, so he has more of that like frame of reference, and I'm just along for the ride, and so far I'm enjoying it.
And if you're someone who's really nervous about the characters, they're so well hit.
Yeah.
Especially Tom Maryland, who does get introduced. He's a fan favorite, and he
he's
has
so
one
good.
scene at the end. First of all, they introduce him in the way that is so Tom, just and then at the end of that episode, he does something where I'm like, "You are Tom."
Yeah, and he told me that, and I was like, I loved him. Like instantly, I knew he was going to be important because it's like, oh, the Glee Man's here, and he picks up the guitar, and I'm like, important character.
Yeah, and credit to Barney for having chemistry with him immediately.
Immediately. So I really Love all that. So, and you guys know, I'm like really big into emotions, and I'm really big into like good characters. So as long as like if the characters are good, they can work around some other stuff as they go along. It's already been confirmed for the second season.
And third.
And
that was just announced the other day.
Was it actually?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, cool. Well, there you go. So it's here, so you don't have to worry about getting invested and then it getting dropped. So that's nice. But yeah, that is going to do it for this little section. I'll do a proper outro later after I put in some like vlog footage and other things I might want to talk about, because this has been a very cool event. I've never been in England before, so this was great. But thank you so much to Daniel for stopping by. Make sure I'll have his links down below. Go follow, subscribe, whatever, to Daniel Greene. If you like anime reviews, if you like book reviews, if you like fun skits, he does all sorts of stuff. Super fun. So thank you all so much for watching. So yeah, Amazon Studios flew me out to London for the premiere of Wheel of Time. I got my own plane pod and everything. We were staying at the Trafalgar Hotel, which is honestly gorgeous. I loved my room, and it was like right across the street from the Canadian Embassy. I felt very welcome. Then I realized I was dumb. Oh guys, we have a new fresh dumb bitch alert. Who came to England and forgot that like shit don't work the same here. Also, meeting Daniel for the first time in person was absolutely amazing, and I made some other really great friends while I was there in the Wheel of Time community, and they were so welcoming considering I am just a noob.
Amanda's vlogging while I'm vlogging. It's kind of rude. Hey, Amanda, I was vlogging.
I'm vlogging Daniel. Daniel,
why are you not looking at me? I'm over here.
Daniel, you can't even vlog with your good camera facing you, loser. Amateurs. He's getting in front of my shot. And they really went the full 9 yards here. Like, we got Wheel of Time themed gift bags that had branded Stein, umbrella, a jacket, a copy of the first book, beer, tea, and fancy chocolate caramels. So London is beautiful. I loved it, but my first order of business was tracking down some of the last night in Soho landmarks, which I had entirely too much fun doing. This, I know it says Eternals, but this is the last night in Soho theater. That's so exciting. There we go. Beauty. We were also just shockingly good at just stumbling upon things happening. Like, Daniel and I went to see Buckingham Palace the night before the premiere, and then Critter said that she wanted to see it, so we took her back the next morning, and we just happened to show up during the changing of the guard and got stuck. Yeah, so we decided to come back to Westminster Abbey, oh my God, Jesus, no, the Buckingham Palace during the day, and we just happened to walk through when there was like some kind of guards doing things. Then the other thing we stumbled upon was something we were actually apparently set to go see at night when it would have been better, but like me and Critter were walking back to the hotel to get ready for the premiere, and then the billboard started like reaching out at us. Oh my God, it comes out! Ah! That's so cool! Oh, I'm so glad we stuck around. It was so cool and beautiful, and it was really funny to have people freaking out. I loved it so much. It was really great. And then it was premiere time. So my audio all clipped out here, but it's just me saying that I'm amazed that they thought I was important enough to walk the red carpet for the world premiere of the show in London, the same red carpet that Rosamund Pike was going to be walking on. Look at me go. I was so stoked. So many of the other people invited just seemed to have these massive platforms, which is why I thought they were bringing me out as more of like a critic / first impression. But no, I was there to be me, which is kind of insane. The premiere itself happened at the BFI IMAX, which I think is the biggest theater in Europe, and the staff there were all so kind and incredible. They were slinging out food and drinks, and there was different activities that you could do. Then the after party was in the Tower Bridge, like inside it, and there was a floor window so you could see the bridge and the water, and I love heights because I'm weird, so it was very exciting. And there were themed drinks and food, just super fun. Then the next day they took us on a tour of the Tower of London. I absolutely loved our guard. It was just a really cool experience. They had one entire wall lit up for Wheel of Time, and it was literally like across the courtyard from where they house the crown jewels, which is ridiculous. So that was gonna do it for this video. Thanks again to Amazon Studios for shipping me out to London for the premiere of this show. I know this is a very different video from what I normally make, but if you are looking forward to like the full season 1 coverage, that'll happen once the season is complete. So let me know what you guys are thinking of Wheel of Time down below. So thank you all so much for watching. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later. I'm sorry, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Good night, everybody.